So the idea is that we have service endpoints, but in order to perform an action, we need to specify that when we make an API request. And so every single AWS service has a list of possible API actions that we can perform. I want to point out that sometimes they're called operations. So if you hear API operations or operations, think actions, or if you hear actions, think operations. Okay? So when you specify a service endpoint, you always have to specify an action. And so here, using a query string, that's that question mark, I specified that I want to run an instance for EC2. The naming of these actions are all over the place. Why? Because AWS has a lot of employees. Each team has their own ability to decide what they want to name things, and they don't always stick to the same thing for whatever reason. So the most common ones you're going to see is describe, create, update, delete. So if we're using the CLI, notice down below here, we have EC2 describe VPCs, but notice that is for describing a bunch of VPCs, and then we have describe VPC for an individual VPC. So you get really strange things like that, where you might think maybe describe VPC should be list VPCs. Nope, it's describe VPCs. Then you have uncommon ones like list, put, get, copy, modify, and there's definitely more. And then they get even more very specific for the service. So there's some where you disable, enable stuff. You have associate, accept, allow, cancel. So yeah, they're all over the place. But what I want to hit home is that if you know that something's in action, it's going to be pretty much the same no matter how you're going to access it via different developer tools. So if you're using the CLI, notice it says run -instances. Now let's go take a look at what that looks like with the SDK. Well, if we're using, that looks like Ruby code, the function is called run_instances. Or let's say we are giving permission to a specific action in your IAM policies. It's going to be EC2, so that is the service code, and then we have colon, and then we have the action name and title case. So just understand that when you're using IAM, all those actions literally line up to actions, and that way you can figure out what permissions you need to get access to perform specific actions or operations within an AWS service. So there you go.